Hello, everyone, and welcome to D2C Dialogues. Today, I have with me Ravi Ramachandran, founder and CEO of Nua. Their LinkedIn profile goes like this. Nua was founded on a dream to transform women's wellness in India. Our story began with a pad, and not just any pad that could be picked off the shelves, but one that was truly thought around a woman's needs. However, we soon realized that the need for safe and effective products went beyond just pads. So we asked the women in our community to tell us what they were looking for. We believe that our sanitary pads, Cramp Comfort, India's first unique self-heating patch, foaming intimate wash, 1 everyday liners, and Uplift, which is a period nutrition drink mix, are made by us but are created by our community of over 4 lakh women who wanted to start a new and improved wellness journey. As for our dream, it just got bigger from where we started. As of today, we continue to transform the women's wellness space in India through safe, innovative, inclusive, and effective products that are made safe certified and backed by science. Welcome to D2C Dialogues, Ravi.
Thank you, Hitesh. Just one small correction. I think I need to update my LinkedIn profile because that 4 lakh was some time ago. Now it's more like 10 lakh plus. So
Awesome.
So we crossed that 1 million customer mark quite some time back. So I need to update it. Yeah.
So here is a brand who has 10 lakh customers. And my first question to Ravi is, you had a fantastic, consulting career. And as a high-profile consultant, what made you and leave the consulting space and enter into entrepreneurship?
I think several motivation. I think around about the time I was looking at or exploring startups, I think there was so many good inspirations of, ordinary people, right? Building successful businesses in India. I think in the past, obviously, we've had examples of it, but a lot of businesses were built on the back of existing wealth, for example, right? But for several entrepreneurs, like from the Flipkart guys and all of them, they were really doing well. A lot of digital businesses that were taking shape in India, where founders were people I could relate to, and I thought there was that opportunity to, I think the environment in India was conducive for an ordinary person to start a business and solve for problems that has otherwise not been solved for. So I think that was one. More specifically, this specific space, why we entered, women's wellness and started focusing on menstrual wellness, is a couple of things. I mean, if you look at the women in your life or women around you, one of the things that you would see is a slight change in how they perceive self-care. In the past, a woman, there are a lot of expectations from a woman from the society, for example, an ordinary Indian woman. There's so many expectations from the society. And, there's also a lot of, I wouldn't say career alone, but a lot of demands from her time in other things also. Maybe it's a career, maybe it's homemaking or whatever. And in this process, and you would look at most women around you would realize that they prioritize everyone else and everything else first. Their own self-care has always been at the background, right? Now, I think in the last 10 years, we've seen some small changes in that behavior and trends. I think largely to do with exposure to content, awareness about a lot of these issues and what could happen if you don't take care of yourself. That's slowly changing. And today, as I speak, so many young women, right at the beginning, they're concerned about their well-being, their fitness, the diet. You could see this around you. And it's not a metropolitan concept alone. You would see it in smaller towns in India also. Like women are coming out of that thing about, or wanting to take care of themselves. So that was one. And I think there was this massive opportunity out there to be part of that evolution or journey and be relevant to the woman. That's number one. Number two is that, and why this specific menstrual wellness, one thing that really sort of, this was like a start, it started off with a number, right? So I'll ask, maybe you could tell me, 60,000 hours. You know what the relevance of it? Roughly 60,000 hours. Any guesses what could it be? But 60,000 hours is the number of hours an average woman have to go through her periods.
Oh, okay.
That is, if you roughly translate, it's about,
Yeah.
2,400 days of period someone has to go through. And if you looked at, there are so many big brands that operate in this space, but the communication and the narrative that was built all this time was around, was not rooted in reality. A lot of that was, women playing badminton and, smashing it out of the park. Of course, there's a reason why they would do that and, all of that. But in reality, it's not just about bleeding, right? It's not just about, a pad and, how great the pad is, but it's also about, I've realized there's several other symptoms that a woman go through or experience during periods. It could be cramps, it could be fatigue, it could be bloating, it could be so many other things. And we saw this complete white space of not anyone addressing any of that. Everyone saying great pads and leakage and all of that stuff. But what about the rest of the things? So we also saw the opportunity to address that white space and build a brand that is really thought around you. That is not just, giving you just only the greatest product out there. So that's table stakes, greatest, safest product we'll build. But what about other things around it, right? And it also, and of course, it fit very well in the digital narrative on how we can build a brand digitally. So that's kind of the starting point.
So you did mention about the other areas and the white space, but how are these being addressed today? Because somebody somewhere should be addressing these white spaces as well. Otherwise, maybe not as organized as you are, or maybe organized as well, because women require remedy or solutions for their problems in those white spaces as well.
Yeah.
How did you
I think, see, in bits and pieces, some of these solutions exist. I'm not saying it doesn't, right? One of the big problem statements that we hear along with periods is actually cramps, right? Like period cramps. It is a problem statement we hear from most women. Now, obviously, there is a hot water bag that's available, right? You can use a hot water bag, and heat is the right scientific answer to cramps, right? There used to be, or there is NSAIDs, tablets you can take with pain reliever. But I guess the government recently published a report also saying that, or a notification saying that that's not good for you. It's harmful for you, right? So in bits and pieces exist, but what we did was slightly different. We said, how do you make it holistic? We didn't want the women to go to 5 different brands to address all her needs, but can you bring it all together? So, a fundamental change that many companies in the digital world can actually do is many businesses can be built on product platforms. So you can say, look, I have a manufacturing capacity or capability in manufacturing pads. So then I can also make adult diapers. I can also make diapers. I can make stuff like this. It's a manufacturing platform led. But we said, let's pivot that thought process and take consumer-centric platform. So you say that, what are the consumer needs? And then address all of that rather than, sort of a product platform-led approach. Now, obviously, we manifest this in many ways, right? If you look at our pack, we realize that women need not have different flows, right? And in a period cycle, also the flow pattern varies. So we are the only brand in the country where a woman can customize a pack for her needs. It's made to order on our website, on our D2C platform. It's made to order, right? Plus, there is obviously product for cramps and fatigue and nutrition and all that we have provided. But more importantly, we have also done a lot on content. There's quite a lot of content that we have created that helps women understand some of these, ways to deal with these problems, or acknowledge that this is a problem, and then how do you address that? So that's the difference of bringing it together as a holistic approach.
So bringing it together as a holistic approach. Yeah. But somewhere you must have started, Ravi, and I am sure you must have faced lots of challenges, and you must be facing them as well. Yeah. Succinctly, if you can tell, what were the major challenges that you faced and how did you overcome that?
Yeah. So one is, I think especially in this space, we are operating where, the market is dominated by some very reputed brands and multinational brands. I mean, this is a multinational play in India, right? Very, very large, reputed brands who've been doing this for a while. And basically, it's a duopoly, you could say, or something like that, right? It's like 95% when I started off, like 95% of the market was owned by two or three multinational companies. And so one was, how do you break that? How do you build trust when these brands exist? So that was a tough problem statement or challenge that existed and continues to be. The second we felt was that, on the other side, we saw that with China's manufacturing power, costs and all that significantly lower than anything else, we felt that a lot of brands were able to just bring in, Chinese imports and rebrand and sell. So then you're, on the one hand, you're dealing with big brands, multinational brands, and there are local brands who would just source it from this thing. And the third part was claims. I just feel that area needs to be strengthened in India. A lot of brands make claims. Of course, the large brands make claims and they probably have sufficient, backing for it, or the certifications and stuff. But there are lots of brands who just make claims, and customers tend to believe that. So I think these are some of the things. So I think there's a little bit more order and structure that's required, especially with newer age brands coming in. And so many new age brands coming in, I think it's important to have some sort of structure here also. So these are, I would say, some of the challenges I faced.
Sure. And from a challenge from an investment perspective, did you face any challenges? How did you overcome that?
Yeah. So in the beginning, so we were amongst the first wave of D2C brands, right? When I was going and talking to investors at that stage, I don't think there was a concept called DTC or anything like that. That's a newer terminology. So it was very difficult to sort of convince people on the fact that, yes, there is a market in the digital world that people will switch and be comfortable buying online. And now we're seeing it every day, right? And e-commerce is so big in our lives. So that was one challenge, at that stage. And the second challenge was more around women's space itself. You see, most investors, unfortunately or fortunately, are men. And it's not easy for them to understand these intimate, I would say the word intimate, problem statements very clearly. So it takes some time to explain, hey, look, there is a problem like this. And it's not relatable, I would say. So once in a while, we meet some teams with have women in the team, and then we're like, oh, that's great, because they get what we're trying to say. It makes a lot of difference. So I think these are some challenges, but I think, look, I've realized that the investor ecosystem is also, it's getting evolving and it's getting mature. So if you go with a strong enough data and traction, right, I think there are investors then will be interested. It's just at early stages, it's harder because you have a tougher story to tell or sell in that sense.
So from the cause to the product to investment, now let's come to the marketing part of it.
Sure.
And in the initial years, you did many, BTL activities, I suppose, sampling, etc. Just take us through your marketing journey, because here is a product which is very, very personal,
Sure.
And there are a lot of, taboos attached to, this kind of a product. But how did you manage to market it? What was your strategy? What was your feedback? There also you must have faced some challenges. How did you overcome those? Just share some of your experiences.
Sure. Absolutely. So I think, obviously, when we started off, we were bootstrapped, and we were, it's not like we had tremendous amount of marketing dollars to, spread the word. So we, especially my team, we come from a worldview that if you really build a great product and a great proposition for the consumer, then the best marketeers for your brand is your customers. So we said, let's focus on the customer. Okay. Honestly, that it is what works, right? If customers love your brand, your product, and your proposition, they will spread the word. So, which is kind of why we said, look, let's do some sampling and let's try and get them to try the product. And that really worked for us, because initially it was really word of mouth. somebody telling someone else, we were like, okay, that was it. Second is, we did invest quite a bit in customer experience and talking to the customer. So our product, what we see today in the market, right? Let's say the sanitary pads product has gone through at least 3 to 4 rounds of iteration because we constantly get that feedback. And this is one of the biggest advantages of being DTC. When you're directly talking to your customer, you do get the benefit of being able to get feedback from them, good or bad, right? But you can take that feedback and keep iterating till you get. And this is required specifically in a category like ours, because a woman could potentially use your brand in your product for 30 years. That's a long time. So you need to constantly be in conversation with them to understand what changes need to be made and stuff like that. So customer experience was the other thing. Third thing, and again, we were early, one of the early players who did invest in thinking through this was on content, like social media content, right? So we realized that, especially like you said, this is a taboo topic. It's not very easy to generally go and put a big ad campaign talking about very intimate issues sometimes, right? But in the privacy of a digital screen, and if you build some trust around that content that's coming, if this content is coming from experts, or if it's well researched and it's backed by science and stuff, I think then you could communicate one-on-one with the consumer, despite it, say, so-called a taboo topic, right? So these were the initial ideas. So it was all low cost, frugal way of starting up and building a brand. So trials, customer experience, learning from them, and content was, I think, our 3 pillars of starting with brand building.
So from low cost, frugal brand building to let's come to a high profile kind of a, brand building initiative. Securing an endorsement from a high profile celebrity like Deepika Padukone can be a game changer, and that's what Nua has done. So what was the strategy behind getting Deepika and how that has helped the brand?
So look, the idea originally was not to get Deepika Padukone as a brand ambassador. She's an investor in our company. She has a formal, startup fund where she invests in high quality startups. Some good brands she's invested in. So we were one of the companies that she's invested in. And one of the reasons she invested in was she strongly believes in our cause and our brand and the way we are building this business. I think that is why she came on board as an investor. And of course, she's quite talented and smart in her business acumen. So there are times when you could reach out to her, in terms of, especially on consumer sentiment and understanding, because she's close to that part in her line of profession also. Much later, we said, look, she's already an investor, can we work with her as a brand ambassador? So we got her on board as a brand ambassador, but, we haven't done, we haven't done like this, national level ad campaign or anything like that, but she's, that's something that we would do perhaps much later in the future.
So from investor to brand ambassador, let's go to the community.
Yeah.
You have got 10 lakh customers, and how do you plan to engage this community that you have got and pull more and more women towards this brand Nua? So what would be your engagement strategy? How are you going to, you said you have a strong content strategy.
Yeah.
So how are you going to, execute your strategy as far as community engagement is concerned?
Right. So as I said, the content part will continue, and we'll continue to invest, and I think these platforms evolve and change. And so, there's many different mediums of content creation and formats that you can work on. So that we'll continue to do, which is working for us, and we'll continue to invest behind that. The other part is that, we believe as a DTC company, there is a strong DTC element to our business. It is this trying to bring in this feedback loop. I would, and we've done that, and we would like to make that more real for the consumer, that, make them part of co-creating the brand of the company, right? In terms of feedback loop mechanisms with our online customers to actually take their feedback, and then revert back to them saying, hey, look, it may take some time, but we'll say, look, this is kind of what we built on the back of your recommendation and stuff like that. Second part of it is, I think, we must not forget that every year there are, like a few million women entering puberty, and they don't have any benchmark and stuff. So they mostly rely on their, family, mothers or sisters and women in the family to figure out what's the right product for them. And we felt that, is there a way to guide them through this in a digital manner that tells them what is the right answer for them as far as their period needs are concerned? So I think there are digital elements by which we can continue to engage, so content and some digital property.
Ravi, the wellness industry and especially this category is evolving. More and more players are, entering this business, and there is a huge potential. You mentioned the numbers yourself. How does Nua plan to stay ahead, in the curve in terms of product innovation, market trends, competition, etc.?
So look, as I said, we still maintain that original thought process around, thought around the woman. And what that really means is, can you address this holistically? Now, what we have seen is that, again, in the market, we see multiple theses playing out, right? So there is a thesis on digital services model saying that, look, if you have a problem, you can consult doctors and, those kind of things. There is the content-led model. There are enough platforms that's just focusing on content and the right kind of content. And there are enough companies that sell products in various spaces, right? Now, I think there's an opportunity for it to be together, right? Is there a seamless experience that the woman can get across digital content and product is one way we can differentiate ourselves. And that's kind of our DNA as a company. We make great products, the safest products in the country, very effective, science-backed. But at the same time, I think the digital DNA of ours helps us innovate experiences that others can't do.
With this, let's come to the penultimate question, and that is of the growth strategy.
Yeah.
What would be your growth plans in terms of products, markets, going into tier 2, 3, 4, which you may be already present, but share some thoughts there in international and stuff like that. So what is your growth strategy?
Yeah. So look, as a brand, we've always believed in addressing a spectrum of space, which is puberty to menopause. There's a lot of things that, puberty is the periods, menstrual wellness, there's postpartum. There's quite a lot in that spectrum. Today, as I said, is a focus on menstrual wellness. For the immediate future, we will continue to double down on menstrual wellness itself, right? And that's core, and it's a massive opportunity. There's a lot to be done there. So I think apart from some of the digital things that we're working on, we also have, few more products that's lined up for launch this year. Some more innovative products are, in the pipeline to be launched this financial year. In terms of market expansion, so look, a couple of things that we feel is that even for our pure play DTC subscription business, we once thought that, this could be very metropolitan kind of a thing, but it's not. We have, I don't know how many of people would have heard about places like Tenali. Tenali is a small town in Andhra Pradesh. We have subscribers from there. It's incredible. So I feel like, we need to do a lot more to make sure that the product is available and accessible to women in, tier 1, tier 2 kind of towns also, and not just be in metropolitan. So I think there is some significant avenue for growth there. And, obviously, omni-channel play is crucial. I don't think you can be, at least for a brand like us, it's not enough to just be a DTC brand or an online brand. I think we will need to also slowly expand
offline.
100%. I think there's a need for it. And I think our idea is, can you integrate all of this together and make it a truly omni-channel experience? The omni-channel experience is one part of it is you're present omni-channel. I'm present here, I'm sorry, but there is the experiential element. Can you complete the circle so that it doesn't feel like 3 different places people are shopping from or whatever? It feels like a one experience. It's not easy, but that's something that we think is something we should invest in.
So last question here would be, would you diversify from being only a women's wellness product?
True.
Will you diversify from being currently the only women's wellness product?
No, I think Nua as a brand will continue to be women's wellness only, because I think brand extensions from being women's wellness to men's wellness, not it's like a dream, but it's not really that easy to build, because you invest a lot of time and effort in building relevance for the woman, right? But as a company, yeah, could we launch a brand in the future addressing other areas? Why not? But that's not in the immediate thing. But
yeah,
brand Nua will be for women.
Okay. With this, let's come to the rapid fire round, Ravi.
Okay.
I have got a couple of questions for you.
Okay.
What's one word that defines Nua's brand ethos?
Empathy.
Empathy. If we had to choose one Nua product to recommend to every woman, what would it be?
Our ultra safe sanitary pads.
What's the most surprising feedback you have received from a Nua customer?
It's not, yeah, maybe surprising, but so we have this product that we launched called Cramp Comfort that addresses, it's a natural product. It helps you with cramp relief. And we had a customer write to us actually. And she was a mother of a young girl, and she had this thing, and she, somebody recommended the product to her, and she tried it. And she sent us an email with the headline which says, "Where were you all my life?" Right?
Okay.
It was like,
good.
Yeah.
And a personal question, coffee or tea, what fuels your day?
Tea.
Tea. Okay, you are a tea person. Good. Last question for us is, where do you see Nua 5 years down the line?
So very clear, we want to be the largest and the most trusted digital first women's wellness brand. Very clear.
Most trusted digital wellness brand.
Digital first
wellness. So, but why only digital first? You can be physical as well.
No, digital first. What I mean is that a lot of our innovation and stuff will happen through digital, and then we'll take what works to the physical offline world and stuff like that. So I think it's this way, innovation cycle is faster.
And any other tangible targets for the future? Okay. So your smile says all. If you want to be the number one, all the other numbers come within that number one target. So
exactly.
So that's Ravi Ramachandran, founder and CEO of Nua. Thanks, Ravi, for sharing all your insights here today with us.
Thank you.
The brand has come a long way in such a short time. We wish you all the best for all your future endeavors. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Hitesh.